What is going on, people? Welcome to another episode of Instant Replay, your favorite sports podcast. I'm your host, Zohaib Nakvi. Today's episode is really interesting for all those Toronto Raptors fans out there. We have a huge fan. He's been a fan for 20 years, Sajj Khan, joining us on the podcast. And we talk about all things NBA, but we really dive into the Toronto Raptors. All trade rumors, what the Raptors have done over the last 3 to 4 years, everything's on the table, and we really get into it. So, for those of you that are Toronto Raptors fans, this is going to be your favorite podcast. Enjoy! Sajj, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Ready to talk about the Raptors, huh?
I'm
8 out of
so
10.
excited
8
to
out of
have
10.
you here because I know how big of a Raptors fan you are.
20 years. 21 years, I think.
21 years?
Yeah, man.
Since day one, then.
Man, there's pictures of me. I don't even know how. With, like, dinosaur pajamas on.
That's
when we were in an
crazy.
apartment watching it off, like, this small TV, and I'm, like, literally right in front
That's
of the TV.
crazy. I know amongst all our friends, I think you'd be the biggest diehard Raptors fan.
I think so, man.
I think at your wedding speech, the amount of people that said, "Oh, Hanina, your wife, watch out for the Raptors." There, like every speech had that.
It's not really an accomplishment, man. It's not 21 years of sadness, mostly.
That's crazy. Okay, well, this is great. We're very excited to have you on, and so I'm gonna go through the speed round with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna just fire questions at you, and you're just gonna instantly answer off the top of your head.
Cool.
Cool, pretty straightforward. We just want our listeners to actually have an idea of what kind of fan you are.
Okay. Let's do
Okay,
it.
question number 1. What is your favorite sport?
Basketball.
Who is your favorite athlete?
Oh, that's easy. The great Raja Federer.
I knew it. I'm actually writing these down.
Okay.
Anyways, okay. Between when starting a team, who would you want, Kobe or LeBron?
Oh, LeBron, of course.
Okay. Between the Super Bowl quarterbacks right now, Matt Ryan or Tom Brady?
What do you mean? That's a question?
Yeah, that's the question.
Tom Brady, of course.
So it's safe to say that you're going with the Pats. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 3 to 7 points.
Okay.
But I think Atlanta could win.
Yeah.
Are we Tom Brady for like over him right now?
Yeah, just this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Okay.
still take
Fair
Tom
enough.
Brady.
Okay. Who wins MVP this year, Russell or James Harden?
James Harden. I don't even know why
Okay.
that's even up for discussion at the moment. I know Houston has struggled the last little while, but
Yeah,
before this struggle, I mean, the guy turned the team around. Like nobody thought they were going to
for
be.
sure.
And Russ doesn't have a lot of help. I know it's amazing what he's doing. Like
It
he
is.
should
It's
never-
unbelievable, right?
Yeah, it's only ever happened one other time, or
In the 60s.
yeah. So it's obviously amazing, but one guy has got his team like on pace to get 55,
Yep.
56, 57 wins. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And then, I guess in terms of what's your favorite sports team? This should be obvious.
The Toronto Raptors.
The
yeah.
Toronto Raptors. Perfect segue. You see how I did that?
Yeah.
Now we're done the speed round and we're going right into the Toronto Raptors.
Imagine if I just said like Pakistan cricket team.
That would caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this podcast topic is changing completely.
It's like another hole you go down.
Yeah, exactly. So, speaking of the Toronto Raptors,
Right.
because we are here to talk about them, we know how they're doing this season, but I want to get a holistic view of the last couple of years of Toronto Raptors and what your impression has been like. So, let me read you their results. So, in the 2013-2014 season, Raptors played the Nets.
Mhm.
We know what happened there. They lost in Game 7. Then the 2014-2015 season, they played the Washington Wizards.
Right.
And we know what happened there. They got swept, which was big time disappointed for the city of Toronto.
I don't even try to acknowledge. Like, I don't try to remember that. It just hurts a lot. Like, every game we're down 20, I think we're going to make a run. No. Okay.
No, exactly. And then 2015-2016 season, meaning last season, we know what happened we made it way further than what at least I expected. We made it
Right.
all the way to the Eastern Conference, and we actually gave Cleveland, fair to say, a run for their money with a 6-game series.
Like, my point of view on last year's season was, I think, a lot different from what I was hearing. Like,
Okay.
we got 2 games from Cleveland. Blah. Most of those 2 games for whatever reason, I didn't think LeBron was as engaged as he was.
Interesting.
In fifth and especially sixth when he came and he was aggressive from the start.
Right.
We got 2, but I just think we weren't as good as getting 2 games off that Cleveland team as everybody makes it. Like, we had good games. It was close. We hit some good shots towards the end, but.
So you think that we overachieved, essentially? We're not supposed to be that good.
Well, I mean, we were one Frank Vogel mistake in the first round.
That's true.
Away from basically Casey getting fired, maybe not re-signing DeRozan. Like, I know that's what sports actually is, but like, there was this one period where in Game 5, I remember watching this in like California, and like Frank Vogel just took out every player on their team when we were down 13.
Right.
Like, he had Paul George sitting down, he had George Hill sitting out, he had like Turner was out, and we made like the 6-0 run that got us back into that game.
Right.
It was like a 3 to 4 minute period, and like I was like, man, what is he doing? We better cut this lead in half immediately if we have a shot.
Right.
So, and I feel like if we lose that game, we're going back to Indiana. We're probably losing that game way we got smashed in that game. So it was a good season, but there was a lot I thought we could have done that we didn't do.
So then if we're looking at this season now, and you know, in your opinion, then we kind of overachieved last season, and this season we have similar roster. We re-signed DeRozan to a massive contract, which, firstly, do you think he deserved?
Absolutely.
With the new CBA rules, I think it's a no-brainer.
I don't even think the new CBA rules have anything to do with it. I think like a guy who every year he's come in has changed. He's improved his game. Like, if you remember where DeRozan was when he came in, he couldn't even shoot. Like, the Raptors taught him how to shoot.
Yeah.
They had to break his jump shot down.
Yep.
And because the way he came in, like, if you see his college days, like, his shot is a bit different from what it is now, because like we taught him basically how to shoot, and he's just improved every year. Every year he's gotten a better player. You can make arguments, well, I wouldn't think they'd be correct, but that at times he can play like a top 10 player in the NBA,
for sure.
Right? And there's even guys I saw like Kenny Smith's top 10. He was number 9.
He's in the top 10.
I completely don't agree with. I think Lowry is the better player by far.
Oh, I was going to ask you that too. Between Lowry and DeRozan, who you'd want on your team?
Well, like right now,
yeah,
DeRozan, he's younger. He's 4 years younger.
Okay, but let's say we bring them both at what they're performing, and they're both the same age.
Man, Lowry's been a top 10 player for the last 2 years. Like, it's not even debatable. I would
top 10,
I would debate that with anybody. Like, and it's not about.
Is he a top 5 point guard?
Yes, he has been.
He's not.
He's been the last 2 years.
I loved Kyle Lowry.
Man, it's not about stats. Like, last 2 years, the impact he's done for the Raptors, for us to be a top 5, top 6 team in the NBA, it's been completely Lowry. Look at all.
Okay, can I ask you your top 5 point guards in no particular order, but your top 5 point guards?
So I would say, well, before this year, like, I'm gonna put James Harden to the side.
Okay.
So I'd go Curry, Westbrook, Chris Paul, and I would say the fourth guy in the NBA the last 2 years has been Lowry. I would say, like, impact.
No Kyrie, no Isaiah.
Impact on
no
winning.
John Wall.
Okay, until this last 10 games, now we're fourth. But we've been like a top 5 team the last 2 years, and like nobody will debate who has a bigger impact on Raptors winning those last 2 years over Lowry and DeRozan. It's been Lowry. All our top lineups are when DeRozan are sitting down, and Lowry and Patterson are matched up with a bunch of the bench guys. Like, it's the intangibles, man. I watch every Raptors game. Lowry makes way more winning plays. He can hurt you in more ways than DeRozan. Like, that's just also, and his ability to get the team going, like, you know, like.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And even, like, I was just at that New Orleans Pelicans game. Remember I told you about this? I was at the New Orleans Pelicans game against, and Kyle Lowry was playing. DeRozan's obviously has his ankle issues right now, so he's not playing. And so Kyle Lowry went to OT. Firstly, it's my first time going to an OT game, so that was exciting. And then he had the game winner, which I don't know if you remember, but it was unbelievable. It was like, you know, pump fake, great defense being played. Right? 2 pump fakes.
I was like, how did he even get that up?
Yeah,
no, it was unbelievable. And you know, the thing is, like, I love DeMar, man. I will want DeMar to stay with the Raptors forever. Yeah. Again, this is bias Raptors fan talk now. This is not
why
like,
we want you. Yeah.
Right. I want DeRozan to retire with the Raptors. I want him to go down as the greatest Raptor ever because of the who he is as a person. You know, like how hard he works, how hard he's.
How much he's improved, grown with the Raptors from day one.
Just
like if I just read you DeRozan's stats this year, he's doing a career year.
Yeah, unbelievable.
He has 28 points per game, almost 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and he's shooting at a career high of 47% field goal.
And believe me, in the playoffs, Lowry and DeRozan are gonna have to shoot what they're shooting now.
Yeah, I totally agree.
They're gonna have to be closer to 50% than to 40.
Right.
That's obviously true. But my thing with DeRozan is, and if you watch his games, and like. I always look at okay, what matchup for the Raptors would be bad in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I always look at matchups where the best player on the other team is also a wing guy.
Yeah.
So like the Indianas, the Chicagos of the world, right? Or like Wizards are also a good example because Otto Porter plays really good defense in DeMar. Like,
and he's playing great. Otto Porter in general is
so
playing
efficient.
Great
he's gonna get the max. He's gonna get the max next year. But he's been so underrated, Otto Porter. Just going off on a tangent.
I couldn't agree.
He's one of the top 5 most underrated guys this year. Just like nobody's talking about or not as much.
Yeah.
He's had an incredible year for the role he has to play on that team.
For sure.
So there's those 3 teams for sure. Where he's not going to get bailed out by those calls. Like if you're going up against like a Phoenix or a Sacramento or Brooklyn, where you just get those ticky-tack calls and he has the respect of the refs, so he's going to get them. Back to that Indiana series where he wasn't getting those calls against Paul George because the NBA is not interested in taking out the top guys from each team. So like they're not going to give those ticky-tack fouls to Paul George. So DeMar's struggled because when he wasn't making his shot.
Yep.
He couldn't affect the game.
I feel like this is going to be a dumb question to you because I know what you're probably going to answer. But do you feel that the refs don't respect the Toronto Raptors?
No, not anymore.
Really?
Not anymore.
Not anymore?
No, not anymore.
Really?
Like, I mean, I can imagine being a fan of an opposing team and like Raptors coming in and you got Lowry who literally wants a call on every play. And like he always wants a call, and I love him.
But
for that.
That's like a lot of superstars.
I love
do that,
him
right?
for that.
A lot of superstars.
Yeah, you
want
have
to call
do it. Literally, I love him. He should do that. And then DeMar with his ticky tack, you know. And a lot of times there are fouls, but a lot of times, you know, you're making the ref make a decision, which doesn't really matter that much on like the 56th regular season game.
Sure.
But it has so much impact on you know, a game 6 in the playoffs, and the refs aren't gonna put their call, like they're not gonna, oftentimes it's like they let them play in the playoffs type of mentality. So
okay, well, let me ask you this. So you mentioned the Raptors are 4th, so they're tied 4th right now again with the Atlanta Hawks at 30 and 21. Right. We have the Celtics. Well, we know the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to come 1 in the East. That's just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You don't sound convinced.
No, I know they're gonna finish first.
Okay.
But I have never understood that mentality from the Cavs. This like last 4 years, and for that matter, Miami. Like they I wish those teams looked at the Spurs model, right? Which again, if you keep peeling this back, like I hate what Popovich does, right?
In terms of
resting guys, like I think that shouldn't be allowed in the NBA because.
But you're talking from a fan's perspective.
Because what happened is like when Popovich did that, he basically made everybody else look at the way they were doing it and said, we should be doing that.
Yeah.
Well, if everybody's doing that, then the fans get hurt, right? Because like, if I'm paying to watch like a LeBron or when Kobe was playing Kobe or like MJ and they don't show up and I've dropped like $400 or $500 on a ticket, well, guess what? Like I'm pissed off. I'm maybe never spending that money again on a basketball game again.
Right.
Probably not. Probably I'm spending it anyways.
I'm pretty sure you still would.
Yeah, I would spend it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I think it set a precedent that really it sucks for the fans.
Right.
But why does a team that has LeBron care that they finish 5th or 4th? They're not getting advantage in the finals, which really is all that he should care about. Which of the 7 teams behind them are they scared to go and like they had to win 2 games in Golden State last year in the finals? Yeah. Like which arena are you scared to get one in? Like, you know, and they shouldn't be. And frankly, like if they're clicking at the right time, it really doesn't matter where they play. They're gonna beat the team. Yeah. They got the best player. They probably got in the playoffs proven also second best player. What he's accomplished in the playoffs versus some of the other guys below him, because
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. So then I want to ask you, so we talked a little bit about the Cavs. Do you think, in your opinion, right now, where we're sitting, obviously we have injuries. We have DeRozan out for the last little while.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to ask you in terms of what's your opinion on the Celtics being ahead of us, the Wizards now being ahead of us, and the Atlanta Hawks? Are any of those teams actually teams that we should be worried about come playoffs, in your opinion?
Okay, of the three teams, I think Boston is the easiest matchup.
Oh, really?
I don't think
Really?
Yes, I think for us they're the easiest matchup. They've got a bunch of little guards, okay? And maybe they put Crowder on DeRozan, and they've done that in the past, but I like a guy like Avery Bradley, who's a good defender, smart,
Sure,
who's a good defender.
sure.
They're not going to be able to guard DeRozan.
For sure.
DeRozan's going to have to get in the post with them, and he'll give them work.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Lowry always plays well against them because one of the guys has to be Isaiah Thomas, and he's pretty bad at defending at his position. It's why no matter how great his offense is, if it's gonna probably cool down. And
yeah, I think so too. I keep telling people this, and he's averaging 29 points a game. He's playing great. No discount. I mean, he's 5'10", right? Like, or 5'9", whatever he is. It's unbelievable how well he's playing. He's carrying his team, but he only plays one side of the ball.
Yeah, and he's been unbelievable. Like his 3-point, like he's doing. It's like, remember watching this last year, a couple of years ago when, or you could say 3 years ago when Curry started just doing unbelievable stuff, and you're like, what is going on? This guy's hitting threes from everywhere.
Right.
It feels like that, but he's getting 30 points. Curry was getting, 29, 28 at his peak. Like, he's at that same, like, offensively what he's doing.
Sure.
What Curry was a couple of years ago.
Sure.
But now Curry's been doing it for so much longer.
Yeah.
But their pick and roll defenders aren't that great.
Yeah. And what do you think about the Wizards?
So I think of the three, Wizards are the most dangerous.
And why do you say that?
Because their starting lineup is one of the best in the NBA. And in the playoffs, when you have to play your top guys 40 to 42 minutes, like Wall and Beal, that series 2 years against them, it felt like they played the whole game.
Yeah.
So while we had all this great, depth in the shooting guard, because if you remember, we had DeRozan, Lowry, we had Lou Williams, we had Vasquez. So in the season, that was amazing. The season when those two sat in Vasquez and Lou Williams game, they destroyed most backcourts, and in some cases even stuck with the main guys. But in the playoffs, like, that depth doesn't really matter, because if you bring Vasquez in or you bring Lou Williams in, they might just still keep Wall and Beal, who are young guys. And
that's a huge mismatch. Huge. Vasquez could never, in a million years, ever guard John Wall.
Well, that coupled with the fact that our starters struggled, and it's you can see why we were losing by like 25 points.
So let me ask you this, because we're talking about this, and I'm not too worried about Atlanta, to be quite honest, but I don't know what your take is on Atlanta quickly.
Like, I think they'll give us, if Dwight Howard is, checked in, which he will be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so.
That is tough for us, because that's the position we struggle to guard the most. That's why every year we lose to Sacramento, while they're like one of the 5th or 6th worst teams in the NBA.
Right, because Boogie.
Yeah, because we have no resistance for those type of players. And like, Dwight starts being Dwight inside, he's like hard to cover for anybody, let alone Valanciunas, who gets into foul trouble. Nogueira, who's been awesome this year in my opinion.
Yeah, he's been great.
But he's just too skinny. Yeah. Patterson's too small.
Just a mismatch. He's just too much power. Okay, fair enough. So let me ask you this, because you brought this up and we were comparing John Wall and Bradley Beal. Who's the best backcourt in the NBA? Is it those boys in Golden State?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Hands down.
It's always like, what's the best backcourt in the East? And I think like I think it's tight. If I'm being biased, I'll give the edge to DeRozan and Lowry. But like, man, John Wall and Beal. Like, the problem with Beal is he just never stays healthy.
That's really the problem.
So it's why it's hard, thinking about like Anthony Davis and his future. It's like the guy, has to start staying healthy a little bit for him to become, So if they're healthy in the playoffs, man, those guys are young too. Like,
I totally agree with you.
John Wall and Beal are hard. I'd have to give the edge to Lowry and DeRozan, but man, it could go either way. It obviously has gone the other way before,
yeah, for sure, in the playoffs. And so let me ask you this. In terms of, obviously, we know what we're going to get with the Raptors. We're going to get a solid playoff run. We're going to get into the playoffs. Knock on wood. Let's knock on wood. we're gonna get into the playoffs at least. We're gonna have a playoff, first round at the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think we need to do as a team to get over that hump in terms of being a contender? And do you think Masai is that's in his mind, or do you think he's just, because a lot of people have been talking, are they just content with being one of these first round, second round teams, or do you think they actually want to go ahead and like compete for a championship here?
I think it's depends on how you view like.
Because Lowry's not getting younger.
Yeah, so I think it's your view on like I think everybody should be building to knock off Cleveland because LeBron's getting older. Like it's not like LeBron is in his prime anymore. Like you should be building a team to be able to knock them off.
For sure.
But you can only build that team if there's things you can actually do. Everybody kept going, well, why don't we trade for Millsap? Okay, for this year now. Last year, okay, well, I don't know. We don't know the whole story, but this year it's like I don't want to give up assets that we've built, regardless of what you think about those assets, for a guy who might come here and then demand the max and cut. Meanwhile, Lowry also demands the max, and we can only keep one, so we keep Lowry. And now
it would be a rental, in my opinion. Yeah. Between the two, you hands down go with Lowry. He has great chemistry with DeRozan. That's your core.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, I'm taking Lowry over Millsap. Like
any day.
Yeah. That's not the question. It's just I think that there's a deal. If there was a deal to be made, like Ujiri's looking for it because like there's such an obvious hole in our team, which is the power forward position.
Right.
And for that matter, not even the power forward position, just a guy who can be a solid power forward, but might be pushed to the center because it's not like Valanciunas is out here playing 35 minutes a game. Like we need to find like that's why I like Nogueira because for 5 years they've tried to make Valanciunas work down this late stretch of games.
For sure.
And it hasn't happened. Like, and a coach's job is to put a team he thinks will win. Like, we can't sit here and think, oh, well, why isn't he putting Valanciunas and KC must have a problem with Valanciunas. Sure. No. If he doesn't think Valanciunas can win it for them in those late positions, when every single play is a pick and roll.
For sure.
Nogueira's come in. We've won some key games with Nogueira as the late stretch center against OKC, against New York. That was a tight game where he made good plays for us to win those games. So I don't know if Valanciunas can be that guy late in games and playoffs when you're going up against a Boston and every play is a pick and roll with Isaiah Thomas. Well, nobody can guard him, but you know.
Yeah, I got you. And since you did bring Millsap, I'm going to give you a multiple choice question, okay? I looked up these possible trade, like what the Raptors get, what Atlanta gets in the event that Paul Millsap, because that's what's been thrown around right now with the Raptors and, what the trade rumors are. So we got Millsap, Muscala, Cephalosha, and we give up Terrence Ross. I'm okay with that. I'm not a big Terrence Ross fan, even though he's producing right now. I'm not a Terrence Ross fan. I want to make that clear. I say sell him now where his market value is the highest. Jarrett Sullinger, who has been quite the disappointment this year. Jakob Poeltl, which was our first round pick this year. Delon Wright, who I like, young asset. 2017 Raptors first round pick. 2017 Clippers first round pick, because we have that as well. What do you think about that trade?
I would never, ever, 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 ever do it.
Okay,
ever do it. Ever
next
do it.
trade. Next trade. We have Millsap, Muscala, Tim Hardaway Jr., who's been playing well, and I think he gets streaky at times.
Yeah.
Right? We have Terrence Ross, Jarrett Sullinger, Jakob Poeltl, Delon Wright, and LA Clippers first round pick only. Ooh.
I'm just not doing.
It's a young asset,
I'm just not doing any of those trades.
I'm a big fan of Tim Hardaway, man.
I'm just not doing any trade which doesn't ensure that I get Millsap. And even if I get assures that he is gonna come here, I need to know what deal he's coming in. Like,
for sure.
That's just like the thing is, I think my thought has always been Raptors should keep the team they have.
For sure.
And this depends on like the owners, the management, MLSC.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, do they want to win? Do they think they can win? If like my thought process has always been like Ujiri's has that African connection because he's done a lot of basketball type of events in Africa. He's really
focused on younger players. Yeah.
That's the legacy he's been trying to leave back from day one. Well, what about Ibaka? And what about a guy in Ibaka?
Well, there are rumors. Yeah. Orlando's looking to ship him out.
But why? Don't give up assets. Like, the thing is, like, when Ibaka becomes an unrestricted free agent, I'm going to take a wild guess that one of the first 5 people that he'll speak to
Is going to be Masai?
Should be Masai. Like, the Masai should easily be able to get a conversation with him. And then it becomes like, okay, first of all, how much do you want? Okay, are you willing to take anything less than that? Because we're trying to build something special here. And then you go to MLSE. Like, we have a hole. This is a great guy. He's going to fit in. Yeah, are we going to go in the luxury tax? Sure. But 21 teams are in the luxury tax as we speak.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
really?
like, they're above what the salary cap is, right? So, I don't know if that's a soft or hard.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
You have to, like, Cleveland's paying their team $130 million.
Yeah, Cleveland's is nuts.
Golden State's gonna go in the luxury tax. They just got lucky with that Steph Curry. If you want to win, you have to pay more. Like, and you don't have one of the 2 or 3 best players. And in Cleveland's case, they do, and they still need to go into the luxury. If you really want to win, you've got to spend the money to win. Because,
yeah, I gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, because that's just the way the game is now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, everyone's getting played. When you have people like, well, you know, I'm a big fan of Mike Conley. I get it, but he's injury prone every season. He's always injured, and he's just offered the max deal this offseason, right? For a guy that's, you know, him and LeBron are arguably getting paid the same amount, and that just doesn't make sense to me. How does that make sense?
But in a capped NBA, the best players have to make as much as some guys who are not at their level. It's just there's 30 teams. If you think about, every team has a space for at least 2 max contracts, if not 3. No, they have space for 2.
Right.
There's not 60 max players in the NBA.
Right.
You know, by any sort of metric that you do, like, there aren't that many guys. So is Conley a max player making that much? Probably not. But are you going to get a much better point guard than that guy? Like, he's been very good for a long time. And
yes,
it sucks because there's only so many all-star nods. And, like, sometimes guys like Conley and for a long time Lowry didn't get recognition. Dragic doesn't get recognition. No. And it's like, those guys are good players. They'll win games for you. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
Like, you know, at the end of the day, Miami just won 10 straight. And, like, a lot of those games, Whiteside wasn't playing that great. Dragic, Waiters, those guys were the ones who were, like, carrying that team. And, like,
right.
Who would put those guys in any sort of conversation at the best at their position?
I totally agree with you.
But, you know, it's the NBA. Those guys are pros. Like, they're going to win some games. So, I think Conley's been really good for a long time. And if you feel like you can't really get much better than that,
right,
then unfortunately you have to put money, you know, you have to put the money there. And what they've been trying to build there for a long time, you know.
So let me ask you this, since you did bring up the All-Star and, you know, some of these players are getting snubbed, obviously. What do you think is the biggest snub this year outside, I assume you're going to say Russell Westbrook. I think that's the most arguable one. I think most people agree with that. I don't think you're convinced.
No.
Do you think that's a snub for him to get snubbed from the All-Star lineup?
Like, I think it's a snub because he's averaging a triple-double. I don't think Curry should have been there, but I'm not mad about it. Like, it's Curry, man. Like,
yeah, I agree with you. Sure.
But I'm also like, if both guys are healthy, I'm also the guy who would take, like, and this is not a popular decision anymore, which is crazy. I would take Curry over Westbrook.
You would take Curry over Westbrook?
Yeah. You know, it's like, I think the NBA now, it's become too much about, well, he's averaging a triple-double, which means he's automatically the best player.
But Russell Westbrook will play better defense too, no?
But, like, Curry led a team to a championship. And, you know, one of the...
Against a Cleveland Cavaliers that was 2 All-Stars were down.
But they still had LeBron. They still had a top 5. No, it's like, I get it, right? Like, Cleveland, like, I think if Cleveland had their full team, they would have probably won, right? But the thing is, he still won a championship. He still beat a lot of great teams.
I agree with you.
As the main guy in play, he still made deep playoff runs as the main guy, even if he didn't win the chip or the year that he won the chip, more so than Westbrook. And when they won the championship that year, one of the biggest, I think, travesties in the NBA is that Curry didn't get the Finals MVP. I thought that
the Andre Iguodala,
every possession on offense for Golden State
ran through.
They
him.
did a pick and roll.
Yep.
Cleveland trapped the pick and roll.
Yep.
He passed the ball to Draymond. Now Draymond had to make a decision 4-on-3. Like, how, that is one guy's impact that's leading to an open shot every single play.
Sure.
And because Iguodala hit a bunch of threes, so his stats were good, and he played good defense on LeBron, of course.
He did.
But LeBron's usage rate was also crazy.
Through the roof, yeah. He looked gassed. Towards the end of the series, he was starting to look tired.
Yeah, he looked...
Especially, I think it was game 4. Because he was up 2-1, right?
Yeah, I would think he'd be tired. That was a lot. But I just think Curry makes a lot more winning plays, and I think his... Like, the pick and roll with Curry at the end of games is just so hard to guard. And now that pick and roll becomes him and Durant doing the pick and roll. We're like, that's why you got no shot. Because if they're making their shots, which they always are.
Right.
Like, you don't know what to do. And you can switch. Okay, then switch. Then, like, Curry's on, like, a little guy and a big guy.
And he's just going to dance on him.
Yeah, unbelievable. Like, it's just... Like, Westbrook had Durant for a very long time. Every year it was about, look, you're really great at certain things, but he is really good at shooting and scoring the ball. And, like, I think Westbrook is the type of guy who hasn't had, like, he's not a very aware guy. He doesn't look at the bigger picture, I feel. Like, that's just my opinion, right? Really? I don't know him, right?
Yeah,
I just think
of course.
he doesn't. I think he's concerned about...
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think is the biggest difference between watching now, like let's say you watch the Golden State Warriors and you see Kevin Durant on the Golden State Warriors and how he's playing there versus Kevin Durant on Oklahoma City and playing with Westbrook, right? See, now we have a perfect example of Kevin Durant who's better than both Steph Curry, in my opinion, and Russell Westbrook. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
He's better than both.
Yes, I would say so.
Individually, he's better than both, but in the team system now, you see how he's playing with Steph Curry. Steph Curry has, in my opinion, no problem giving up the ball at all. Like, there's games where Steph Curry will be like, yeah, go ahead. Okay, KD is feeling it. Do you feel like that wasn't the case? Because that's what the storyline was every time, where Russell Westbrook, he's just jacking up shots.
Well, their chemistry in OKC, the way that team played, was so different from how Golden State plays, right? Because it felt a lot more like, okay, Russ's turn, KD's turn. KD's doing his thing, Russ is doing the thing. So those two did a good job of, like, just playing a certain way where, like, they were using the other guys. Where the way Golden State plays is, like, the 5 guys just move the ball around. And even the guys that you shouldn't be worried about, they get such good shots. And because they're pros, they usually end up making those shots, right?
Yeah, I can't agree with you more.
But I'll ask you a question. Like, the year Durant was with OKC and Curry was with Golden State, or has been still.
Sure.
They beat him a ton in the regular season, and then ultimately they end up beating him in Game 7.
Right.
What is why you say Durant's better than Curry, and I would probably agree with you, but, like, the impact that Durant had on the team versus what Curry as the best player was having on the Golden State, like, what was the difference? Like, what made Durant's impact more?
Defensively. I think defensively, Durant has changed the way that team is playing right now. Like, we get it. Offensively, they're juggernauts, whether they have Kevin Durant or not, right? Right. They're juggernauts. They're amazing. We know that last year they went to 73-8 or 73-9? 73-8. Yeah, 73-9, exactly. 82 games. So, we understand that they're completely capable of having a 70-game win season, whether or not Kevin Durant joins the team. But defensively, Kevin Durant is bringing something else. His length, you know what I mean?
His defense has really improved this year.
I totally agree with you, and that's what he's brought to the team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he's been better defensively than even Draymond in a lot of situations, and, like, just it's a crazy. He's one of 3 players, and I think the other guy, one of 3 players ever to lead the team in 3-point field goal percentage and blocks. Like, there's only, like, 3 guys who have done that. Actually, the other guy's also playing right now. I just can't remember which of the other bigs it is. Might be Carl Anthony, and might be...
We'll take a look. Yeah, we'll take a look. And let me ask you this, because you brought Carl Anthony's name, and this just came into my head. Let me ask you, out of the big guys right now, the young big guys, okay? And I'm going to throw... okay, fine, I'll do it. I'll throw in Anthony Davis and Boogie into this, even though I know they're not, like, super young. Yeah. Let's throw them in. Boogie... Anthony Davis, I'm going to ask Joel Embiid, You know I'm gonna ask Kat.
Embiid.
And
Embiid.
and Kristaps.
Yeah. Embiid.
Hands down. That's how obvious.
Let me tell you something. Like
I didn't even finish the options.
I've been making this argument for a long time. I made it when he was playing in Kansas, and everybody was like, "You're an idiot. Like you don't know what you're talking about." I've made it at work a ton of time. They call me idiots. I think Embiid is the greatest pure talent since LeBron James to come into the NBA. Like I would take him if. Again, assuming any of these big guys at any point could get a nasty injury.
Yeah.
So let's just assume that's not happening. Embiid is more likely because he's had those injuries.
Injury prone, yep.
Yep. I would take Embiid over all of them. And to be honest, like, I'm surprised nobody else feels that way. Like,
between him and Kat, I don't know if I can pick one or the other. I like them both the most. I think Kat is amazing, man.
Man, where Embiid is right now in his career, like Philadelphia is a positive team throughout the whole year. As in, like, they are a winning team.
Yep.
When Embiid has been on the floor, like, with the roster they have,
I know
that is incredible, man.
Yeah.
Like that,
What do you think is gonna happen when Ben Simmons comes?
It's Embiid's team. Embiid is gonna be a top 5 player in the NBA if he stays healthy. Like there is no question. Like
how quickly does he become a top 5? Like
if he
in 2
starts,
years, let's say he's healthy. In 2 years, he's a top 5, or is he like next year?
I think if they take off the minutes restrictions next year,
yes,
and he improves on one aspect of his game, which is very hard for young big guys to do, which is like not turning the ball over as much as he does because he turns it over like crazy.
Okay,
I think he has a chance to be like a top 10 player next year.
Wow.
And I really believe that, like, if his offensive game, like his footwork, I've never seen a guy that size have footwork like that. Yeah. That is like Kobe Paul Pierce type footwork.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
He's huge. I saw 2 games this year. One against Steve Adams and the other against Gobert early in the year for Philly. He literally push those guys around. It was weird to watch a guy like Steve Adams, like get pushed back,
get bullied,
and in that same game, Cantor, and just you felt like that this guy is just gonna dominate. Like he's an amazing 3-point shooter, which is crazy.
It's just hard to imagine that.
And I think he legitimately will give DeMarcus like a run for the money as like. And he's like DeMarcus with like a smart mind, right? Like DeMarcus,
yeah.
Like DeMarcus just
he lets his emotions get the best of him. Joel Embiid is like and you think he's gonna be a crowd favorite because everyone loves him because he's his tweets and his disses to people, and he's just always like. When he didn't get into the fan voting, he's like, again, the popular vote didn't win. That was hilarious.
That was amazing.
That was hilarious.
That was amazing.
And he's got that personality, that charisma, you know what I mean? Like, to get people on his side.
He uses the crowd as an advantage.
Totally.
And, sometimes I watch his highlights or his games and I go, man. And it's scary too because like the 2 teams that have the best prospect of being like really great teams for a really long time is Philly and Boston, and they're both sitting in the Atlantic Division with the Raptors, and I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna have to play each team 4 times a year, and like I'm now looking forward to this.
Yeah. So then let me ask you this to start a sort of wrap things up in terms of where you think now the Raptors are gonna finish at the end of the season. And where you think the Raptors are how far they're gonna go in the playoffs?
I think we have to go for the number 2 seed.
Okay.
And I pray that we try to avoid matchups with Indiana.
Really?
It's like all the teams at the bottom there are in some ways gonna be tough. Like we always play against Charlotte bad. I wouldn't be worried about playing them, but like we always play bad against them. Chicago and Indiana have 2 guys who are gonna guard DeRozan throughout the series, and both guys that like DeRozan's not gonna pick up those ticky-tack fouls.
Yep.
We should be able to beat both teams, but we, for whatever reason, especially Chicago, is just one of those teams we again don't beat. I don't understand. Every year they kick our butt, and like.
So far, you've named, like, out of the playoffs teams, you've said, we don't want Indiana, which is a low seed. We don't want Chicago, which is a low seed. We don't want the Hornets, which is a low seed.
No, I'll say I don't want to play Wizards.
Okay.
And I don't want to play, if we're picking one of the teams at the bottom, Chicago.
Okay, so those are the 2 that you want to avoid at all costs. Like, change your seeding. Like, if you're second, throw games to not face the Chicago Bulls because they might be 7th and we're setting 2nd.
Only throw games for the lottery, man.
so adopt the process and the system that
poor
that
Hinkie,
Philadelphia's
man. Poor
done.
Hinkie.
Oh man, he got scrapped, and now the team's about to take off, and Brian Colangelo's gonna reap the benefits here.
I hate Brian Colangelo, man.
You're a big fan, clearly.
No, he did good. He did well for it. He tried, man. Like he tried. So you can't really hate a guy.
Okay,
like,
and to wrap up, I want to ask you. This question just came to me, and I really just want to ask you this. Do you think it has nothing to do with the Raptors this season? But do you think Vince Carter's jersey should be retired? Because I know you, and I know you say, he's the greatest right now for sure. Right? That's what you say for Raptors. He's the greatest Raptor so far to play.
Yeah, like, okay, so his jersey should be retired. He's not... He's probably still the greatest Raptor. But I think Lowry and DeRozan are probably going to take it from him eventually.
Yeah.
Like, his best Raptor team ever, I think we won 48 games. So, let's he wasn't like, we won 56 last year.
Yeah.
Like, let's put a break on that. Like, it's at least debatable.
Yeah.
But I will always hate him, you know?
That's what I was waiting for.
I'll always hate him. I have trouble respecting
That's what
guys.
I was hoping for here.
I have trouble respecting guys. Like that Michael Grange article, and I saw Michael Grange at a Raptors game, and I was like yelling at him. Like, that was a bad article. Like, and everybody
what was the article?
about like he gave Vince Carter's side of the story, like of what happened, and it was just BS. Like, it was so BS. Like, Vince Carter quit. Like, he was making a lot of money playing professional basketball for a team, and he quit. And regardless of what happened, what the Raptors did, where we made 20 mistakes, I agree. What he did was wrong. It should never be respected. You make millions of dollars to just play basketball. When you're playing it, regardless of the situation, you should give it your all. And the fact that he admitted that he quit, and I'm sure there's other guys who've quit, but the day he admitted he quit, I was like, I just never ever gonna be his fan again.
Yeah.
Should his jersey be retired? Absolutely. He's the reason the Raptors still are in Toronto. Like, there's a reason Vancouver lost their team, and that market can easily have a team now.
Oh, I totally agree.
Easily,
totally agree with you.
Crowds, they have sellout crowds, I think.
I think so too.
But the difference between them and us is we got Vince Carter,
right?
And he started doing
crazy
in-game windmills. Like,
it was crazy things.
And, a kid from Pakistan, you're like, what the hell? Like, like that's
the human body can do that.
And that's how he got all these fans, like all these like people who weren't into basketball. Yeah. Even the Canadians who had lived here were just like, what is even though like
now it's like such a big thing in Canada, but
we're still the third sport, but it's just like
to a certain degree you got to thank Vince Carter for that.
Of course, it's his impact. So
okay, well. This was great, Sajj.
Yeah.
We're going to have you come back soon, I'm sure, when the playoffs are coming around.
Yeah, just to say some crazy things.
Just to say some crazy things again, then we'll have you on, and hopefully it's not the Wizards or the Bulls in terms of our first round matchup. Yeah. So we never know.
I don't know what's going to happen. I'm stressed. I stress out every game.
Really, eh?
And every game, I'm like, man, this is...
Was it you or was it your brother who broke their BlackBerry watching a game?
I think that was me, man.
What was the story, real quick?
Just like there was no real story. I was just pissed and I threw the game. At that time, we were getting screwed by the refs quite a bit.
Okay, but
says every fan ever.
Yeah, so you threw your phone against the wall?
Yeah, I chucked it, I think.
And then you broke your BlackBerry.
But in hindsight, probably the best move I ever made. BlackBerry was already on the way down. I needed to get a new phone.
Anyways, okay, fair enough. Perfect. Okay. Well, it was great having you on, and we're pretty excited to have you on again and talk more about the Toronto Raptors down the line.
Let's do it, man.
Sounds good. Awesome. All right, guys, take care.